let's get this party started. Gotta do the tester. The tester, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can hear myself. Let me see. I can hear the music. It's picking up really well right now. Let me try moving. Let me move it and see if it'll be. Okay. I moved it, and now let me. Okay, I can hear the music. I think I'm gonna turn it down just a little more. Wow, it's picking up really strong today. Okay, let me see now. That's better. Wow. Well, all right then. Today is Thursday. Is it, oh my goodness, is it already November 7th? I think it's already November 7th, y'all. Good mercy. Well, this month is going to go by fast. I know last month went by fast. It flew by fast, but I didn't mind because I got a lot done. So I'm cool with it. Let me finish getting ready. She's finishing getting ready. Yeah, what's new? What's what I do over here? Oh my goodness. Alright, let's see here. My royal necklace. I'm a little chilly. I brought my blanket today, y'all. I have my blanket. Oh my gosh, she has her blanket. Yeah. Okay, so let me test it one more time for the music. It's hard to tell. Well, time to move forward. Well, I personally have some music playing in the background. There. What else do I want to put on? I have butterflies. Let's see how that'll work. Butterflies in the sky. Oh, that's pretty. Hey. Oh, wait, this is pretty. Let me see here. Look out. Girl, get your girl on. I'm getting my girl on. Let me see. Oh, that's so cute. Yay. Now that really brightened up my morning. That definitely did with the cute little butterflies. I'm good to go now. Hey. No, I'm really good to go now. And since I have the music, like off of the table and on the floor, I think it'll pick up just fine. I'm gonna take a chance. I'm taking the chance on myself. Isn't that how the motivational speakers talk about when they get really into what the message they're trying to deliver? They start yelling, and it's like, are they mad or are they really into what they're saying? It's like, is it time for us to leave? Gravy train dog food. Let me put this over here. Have you guys watched any TED Talks lately? I haven't. Do TED Talks still come on? Or are they a thing of the past? Are they like fizzing out now? Do you guys still watch TED Talks? And when you were in school and or college, did you guys have the privilege and the honor to watch TED Talks in your class as a lesson? I had public speaking. Now, what grade was I in? I don't remember right off the bat. I think maybe I was in 7th grade where I had public speaking. And maybe I had it 2 or 3 times. I have to think about that. But our public speaker name was Mr. or Professor Eicholt or something like that. He was a nice man, and you could tell he really liked his job. He was like super energetic. He was the public speaker teacher, and that's when I first got introduced to like speaking competitions, because he would talk about them to us. You know, he would tell us, you guys wish me luck because I have a speaking competition to go to. I'm paraphrasing. And I thought that was cool to see a teacher have something to do outside of teaching, outside of school. So he showed me that some teachers and adults have lives outside of work. Even though what he liked to do for fun was related to his work, that, he still liked his job. He also, I don't know if he has that anymore. I thought it was also cool because not only, I think he was a family man, he taught public speaking. He obviously liked his job. In addition to that, he did the competitions and was energetic about that. He was energetic about his job. He reminded me of George Jetson. He looked kind of like him too, and he was just, on the Jetsons when George Jetson would get happy. Well, that's how our teacher was pretty much all the time. I thought that was neat. And then our public speaker teacher also had another job. Before there was called a side hustle. We called it something else back then. But he did some type of insurance. He had some type of insurance company or something. And he seemed proud about it in a good way. And there's proof to that because I saw the building. I knew exactly where the building was. At that time, his office was located pretty much across the street from the Kmart's Plaza, where our Kmart used to be. It was a plaza where our Kmart shared a store with Kroger. So his building was there. So I learned a lot from that speech teacher. I honestly don't think public speaking taught me anything. It just showed me that I can get nervous when I'm talking in front of people. And when I practice something and when I go in front of the people to speak, I will forget everything I was supposed to have learned. So it just showed me that I might have something going on. And I also was like, why am I taking this class to pretend to talk about something I care about? I don't think this class is really all that important. So it kind of killed my engagement and wanted to participate in the class, because it's like, why give a speech about something you don't want to talk about? And if I do a little bit of work, at the bare minimum, I just want to pass the class, so this is pointless. Either you want to talk to the people or you don't. Nonetheless, what I did learn out of there was something apart from public speaking. I learned that you can get a job that you really enjoy doing, and you can have a life outside of work, and it can involve like your hobbies and all that fun stuff. You can have a family at the same time. I learned that you can have more than one job. I learned that you can have a plan outside of having one job, and you don't necessarily have to retire from the job you went to school for. You can choose to retire when you want to and not have to put 30, 40, 50 years into said job, even though you like it. You can work part-time and start putting more time into your family or investing in the job that you have. I learned that from my teacher. I didn't learn how to do public speaking, but those are the values I picked up from him. And I don't even know if he was aware of that. But, you know, shouts out to my speech teacher in middle school, because I got a lot of good ideas in reference to that from him. So thank you very much for that. Ooh. Let me put up a question here. I like having these little things pop up on the screen. Let me choose a color. Oh, look at that blue one. That's kind of pretty. So let me choose some flowers. Let me pick a rose. I'm thinking of a pop-up question to type in on here. Let me scroll down. Let's see here. A rose. ROSE 1 2. And let me think of a question. Today's question I will ask is, today is Thursday already. That's not a good question prompt. Let me think of a good prompt question. Thursdays. Did you guys ever have a speech? No, it's called public speaking class. PUBL, public speaking, EAKI, speaking class at school or college? To college? COLL. How come college also looks like the word collage? Well, I think I used all my characters. Come on. Okay, so I need to shorten up my question. Obviously, I used too many characters. LA used too many characters. That question is just too long, LA. Fine. Okay, so let me put that over here and go backspace. Ever have a public speaking class at school or college? It's just stuck. It won't let me type. Wait. Yo, it won't let me type it. I'm crying. It won't let me type my question in here, y'all. Come on. It'll let me erase it. But it won't let me. COLLEGE. That's messed up. So let me shorten the question even more. A yawn. Ever have a public speaking class at school? Push done and push start Q&A. Yeah, it's acting crazy. So here it is. Let me put it over here. Party over here. That's that on that. And now it's covering up my... hey, how you guys doing? It took me like a million days to type that question. And then I had to shorten it up also. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. I have everything in the chat. Now, have you ever have a public speaking class at school? The question was, have you ever had a public speaking class in school or college? But I didn't have enough room. But thankfully, I was able to put something in there. Now, it's covering up my beautiful butterfly, so maybe I can scooch it over here. Let me see where I can move the question to. Let's see. It's so tiny, y'all. Let me adjust it. And you sit right there. Ah, perfection. Thank you guys so much for coming in, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. I'm having a good morning. It is 5:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good morning to all of you. Yesterday's live stream was awesome. Today is Thursday, of course, but I'm still bouncing back from yesterday's live stream. It was only a 5-hour live stream. The week before that, it was a 6-hour live stream. Who knows what the future will hold for next Wednesday. Yeah. So let me get this in here. Today is Freestyle Thursdays, where I just show up as myself in regular clothes. I had public speaking in college as well as a Toastmasters club. Excellent. Yeah, I've heard of Toastmasters. There's a girl I work with. She mentioned that off and on through the time of us working together. I've heard of Toastmasters as well. It seems pretty cool. You know, it's nice knowing that they have a place for everything and everyone's interest. Toastmasters would be nice to just sit and listen to it, you know. Because you know, when you go to that type of setting, there's not going to be any drama. You're going to learn something. And that's just a nice way to get out of the house. And you know it's not going to be any trouble. So the takeaway from going to Toastmasters is getting out of the house, being able to dress up, and actually probably learning techniques of your own. That's pretty cool. Shout out to all the people who participated in the Toastmaster situation. Now, when I was in middle school, we had what is called academic track. And I'm trying to think if public speaking, yes, public speaking was a category where they had to deliver like speeches or poems or things like that. I didn't participate in that portion. But when we had little shows, to me, they seemed like mini talent shows of like the people or the kids who were supposed to be performing, singing or playing music or what have you in our academic track for that week. They would show the school in the small assembly what they were going to sing or the speech that they were going to say for the academic track that day. So yeah, that's how I remember all those things. Since I was a part of it, I just did the testing part. There wasn't anything to perform or show on there. But yeah, public speaking was a part of that. That was pretty neat. I think when we had public speaking, it was mandatory. I don't think it was an elective. I wish it was an elective because I wouldn't have taken it. But I am very glad that chapter of my life is over. Woo! Rounds of applause for that chapter of my life being over. In a way, I am public speaking on this live stream. I've done a few public speaking situations in my life. Was I nervous? Not to the point where I would start stuttering and stammering, because it's like this. I have people in front of me, an audience, a small crowd or what have you. I'm not nervous to the point where I start fainting or anything. The only thing I take up there when I am talking to a group of people is the fact that, look, I'm going to be myself. So why am I really nervous? I'm not putting up a front. I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. And I'm not going to pretend I know about a subject if I'm up there talking and I don't. That'll get you jammed up every time, right? So yeah. That's it. So that's how I view things. That's where I'm at in this point in life in reference to public speaking. Just be yourself. And you don't have too much to worry about. Bring your notes with you. Don't heavily rely on the technology if you don't have to. Have old school pen and paper, or if anything, our teacher, I think it was my technology teacher in college. He was really interesting. I believe he said he likes technology just like I like technology, but he tries not to be dependent on it. So if you have to give a presentation, type up your notes and print them out. Always have a printout of your notes. Always have a printout of your PowerPoint presentation just in case the technology goes down or your stuff don't mesh well with everyone else's. And then the show goes on. So I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point. So I took that. That was a takeaway when I had that class. Yeah. Well, that's why it's called being comfortable with yourself as much as possible. Because I made my peace with that a long time ago. People are evil. And I learned that growing. People don't ever have, some people don't have their best intentions for you at heart. So you have to make your peace with that. And also accept the fact that something might pop up from your past. So do your best to look within to handle those things. Come to grips with that stuff. So like what Funky Dineva says, they try to spray you with your own tea. You won't be alarmed because it's like, yeah, I know that happened to me. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, but that was many years ago and blah, blah, blah. You have to. That's what life is all about. Bearing awe and showing that nobody here is perfect. So besides that part, I'm eating Fruit Loops and they're good. I had them wrapped up in a saran wrap, y'all, like at school. And they boys and girls, here's your treat for the day. And it would be wrapped up in the saran wrap. I thought one of the coolest things in reference to saran wrap was the color saran wrap. Do they still make color saran wrap? I saw the red ones and the green, like for the holidays. I thought that was neat. Every once in a while, I would see blue saran wrap, but yeah, it's nothing like it, hey? So yes, here is a Fruit Loop. Happy morning to all of you guys, evening or afternoon. This is pretty a cool day. So it's Random Thursdays, Freestyle Thursdays, and I'm honestly just chilling and hanging with you guys. I plan to do another live stream today. That one is already got a topic at hand, but it has nothing to do with the regularly based schedule. I was listening to something yesterday and it caught my attention. So let me see here. Hang on. Ebbs and flows. Now, I would hear that all the time. To me, it seemed like I heard it from a song at first. That song is called Even Flow. So I honestly thought that's what the song Even Flow was about, but he just named it Ebbs and Flows. You know how you say tomato, tomato, potato, potato. So I thought that was the no difference. So Ebbs and Flows refers to the cycle rise and falls of something like the tide, and is often used as an idiom for the natural ups and downs of life. An ebb is a decline and receding phase, while a flow is an increase or incoming phase. The phase signifies that things are in a constant state of change with periods of highs and lows that are both normal and expected. I hear it a lot when I'm on YouTube as I visit different YouTube houses, the houses of many YouTubers. It's really fun to hear everyone on YouTube, talk about pretty much the same thing, what's going on in life, but I like to hear their points of view. But one phrase that don't change and is picking up more is the term ebbs and flows. So I wanted to Just read about it. And since I think that's what I might likely be talking about, I am going to put that in my topic. Guys, this is a wholesome platform. I know most of you are used to going to those types of things. It's a clean platform over here. So can you please leave those comments out or go somewhere else? So let me go to the dashboard really quickly so I can put the title in here. Let's see, content. This is a live stream. And type in the words. Speaking of the set topic, ebbs and flows, I thought of Hobbit. Y'all know the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings. Oh my goodness. How many Lord of the Rings are there? It's so many. And then they have special edition. And then they have special edition. I'm like, this is crazy. So if I want to try to attempt to collect them all, how many in total am I actually collecting? And let me type the topic in ebbs and flows and maybe MAYBE, the Hobbit movie. Exactly. Y'all, okay, the title is in here, ebbs and flows and maybe the Hobbit movies. And I'm going to use this smiley face here. Bam, there we go, push save. The title is in now. The title is in. High five LA. Bam, I had to high five myself. High five myself. Yes. Okay, so this is all set up on here. It feels like a chill day at college. You know when you were at college and you didn't have to be on campus that day. So you just, threw on your sweats and stuff. Well, this is coming from my point of view. And I just wanted to do my homework up there. It feels like one of those days, So moving forward in that, ebbs and flows refers to the cycle rise and falls of something like the tide. I like that. Thanks for the high fives. And is often used as an idiom for the natural ups and downs of life. An ebb is a decline or receding phase, while a flow is an increase or incoming phase. The phrase signifies that things are in a constant state of change, with periods of highs and lows that are both normal and expected. Happy Thursday, everyone. Thank you for coming in. How you doing today? Can you believe it's already Friday, Junior? It's already Friday, Junior. Where did Monday go? Morning Mood was just on, and now we're on Freestyle Thursdays. That is banana. Chippies, anyone here? Take a chip and pass it around. You take one chip and pass it around. 95 potato chips on the wall. Thank you for coming in. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to you. For me, it is the morning. It is 5:27 a.m. ET time. So it's got the meaning of ebb and flow. Let me switch this around so I don't have to strain my eyes so much. Let me rotate screens. There. I made it too big. Let me minimize. Maximize. Okay, meaning of ebb and flow. It's 3:23 a.m. where you are? Cool. Thanks. Thank you. You love my hair. Yeah, I got really excited. I was actually getting ready while the live stream was on. And I found I put my butterflies in. And it made me even happier. So shouts out to the butterfly hair clippies. It made me even happier. I already was happy this morning. But when I thought to put them in my hair with the rollers in, I was like, ow, I'm ready. I like SpongeBob. You know how SpongeBob be so happy about everything? I was feeling like him. So meaning of ebb and flow. Ebb, the outgoing or receding movement like a tide going out. It represents a low point or decline. Flow, the incoming or rising movement. Like a tide coming in, it represents a high point or increase. Well, that makes sense, right? Yeah, social anxiety, that's all right. I had public speaking. I didn't like the class. I actually thought it was pointless from the viewpoint of how I looked at it. I'm like, the things we're talking about, I'm not going to be talking about. I think if we're going to be public speaking, it should be about things we want to talk about. But I get the whole purpose of the class to get you out of your shell. Blah, 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 yaggity smaggity. The advice I gave is when every once in a while I do talk to a small group of people, I do get nervous, but not to the point where I allow my nerves to control me in that moment. It's pretty much like they said, you can say even if your voice is shaking, and it might not be because you're nervous because of the crowd of people. You could be nervous because you may have to speak some truth or bring something to attention. But as long as you say it and they understand what you're saying, no harm, no foul. The other thing I also learned through life is the fact that you have to just be yourself. If you're pretending to be something you're not on the world stage, it may not end well. Wow. Shout out to Lay's potato chips. Hey! These are good. Let's see. We have flow, the incoming or rising movement like a tide coming in. It represents a high point or increase. Idiomatic use in life. Life and relationships, emotions and energy, activity and business, history and trends. So the term ebb and flows can be used in different categories of life. Life and relationships, emotions and energy, activity and business, history and trends. Especially in business, highs and lows. It's the same thing as highs and lows, rises and falls, peaks and valleys. Everything in life will have that happen. But it's nice to really have a type of breakdown of what it is for myself. So in reference to meaning of ebbs and flows, idiomatic use in life, first category is life and relationships. The phrase is frequently used to describe the natural cycles of happiness, sadness, success, and challenges in life and relationships. Yeah, so you said, yeah, it's not worth being something you're not, because it's worse when you can live up to what you pretend. Hey, when you cannot live up to that, you have a whole lot explaining to do and course correction. Emotions and energy. Thank you for that comment. It can also refer to the fluctuations in personal feelings, motivation, and energy levels. Yeah, like, girl, I'm tired today. How come you tired? Is it because you had that exercise in class? That, and I'm just tired because I didn't think it was going to take me this long to lose the weight. So, emotions of energy. Activity and business. The term can describe the fluctuating activity in a business or market, such as a restaurant getting busy and then quiet. Oh my gosh, you guys, have you ever gone to a restaurant during rush hour all the time? For example, McDonald's. You guys, have you ever been at a McDonald's or a fast food restaurant of that reference where a school bus shows up randomly and it's like, oh no, we've got a bus load, we need all hands on deck? I used to work at McDonald's for a brief moment in time where we actually had a baseball team. It was a little league team pull up into the parking lot. Now you want to talk about being nervous. I just was like, oh man, And it didn't have anything to do with public speaking neither. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. It's like, I don't want to do this. The bus was filled with so many kids and parents. And there was no way there was nowhere I could go. And the manager, I'm quite sure she was like, and absolutely nobody taking the break right now. It's like, well, that's out the question. Whew. So I did get to experience a big old bus, and we had to deal with the bus of people from the sports team and the regular customers at the same time. Let's see here. Activity and business. The term can describe the fluctuating activity in a business or market, such as a restaurant getting busy and then quiet, or the stock market rising and falling. History and trends. It says it can be used to describe reoccurring patterns over longer periods, such as the ebbs and flow of history or popular trends. Heck, the ebbs and flows of life, y'all. Come on now. How you doing? The idiom ebbs and flows, reminds us that change is a natural and consistent part of existence. That's for sure. And that a low point, ebb, is often followed by a high point, flow, and vice versa. So that's pretty cool. There's a deeper dive in AI mode in reference to that. Y'all, I done left my tea. Goodness. Excuse me. Wow, you guys are really doing awesome with the thumbs ups. Thank you so much. High five to all of you. Bam. So we have ebbs and flows in the deep dive overview. Ebbs and flows is an idiom that refers to the natural rhythm of life and the continuous changes inherent in it. Many things constantly vary, experiencing periods of increase, which is flow, and decrease, ebbs. The origin. Wow, there's actually an origin for this. Ebbs and flows is an idiom that refers to the natural rhythm of life and the continuous changes inherent in it. Many things constantly vary, many things constantly varying, experiencing periods of increase, flow, and decrease, ebb. Here's the origin. The phrase has its origin in the movement of the ocean's tides. Ocean's tides. The ebb is the movement of the tide as it recedes from the shore, while the flow is the movement of the tides as it comes back towards the shore. This natural repeating cycle of rising and falling water levels inspired the figurative use of the expression, which appeared in the late 1500s. Ebbs and flows. Figurative meaning. When something ebbs and flows, it fluctuates or alternates between two states in a rhythmic way. It is used to describe situations that are not static, and involve natural fluctuations such as emotions and energy level, relationships, the economy/stock market, careers and creativity, political and cultural trends. I like the deep dive overview. It broke it down a little bit more, and I'm reading it out loud to have a more fuller understanding of it for myself. So it says here, once again, it is used to describe situations that are not static and involve natural fluctuations such as emotion and energy levels. A person's motivation or mood can ebb and flow throughout the week. That's true. like we have let's say ebbs and flows here on LA TV. We have a schedule. We have Monday Mood Madness morning motivation, where I help you guys power through your work week, because you're just getting up, because some people have the weekends off and you're going back to work, getting ready to take the kids to school, back on the routine again. So that's definitely like a high and low point. So I like Mondays because I like to help motivate you guys to get ready to go through another work week. Tuesdays is also morning moves, you know, and I'm just hanging with my cool peeps, asking how you guys are doing as you commute to work. Some of you are still at work when you're listening to me. And it's like a slow build. So we have in reference to ebbs and flows figurative meaning in relation to relationships. It says here, connections with others can go through periods of closeness and distance. I see that all the time in movies. The first example that comes to mind is Ash Ketchum and was it Misty from Pokemon? But yeah, that's just what it's called with being life. Heck, in plants, they have that. They have a moment where they're full and bushy, and then they need to be pruned, and so they look a little thin. But that's pretty much how things work. Let's see here. I'm sorry you're not having a great morning right now, but hang out with us and your morning will get better. Thank you for stopping in here so early in your morning. We have figurative meanings with ebbs and flows in reference to the economy and stock market. The market experiences highs and lows, which investors must prepare for. Now, isn't that the truth? Good mercy. It's like a madhouse. At least that's how they display it and express it on TV. Those stock market people, and then you hear that loud bell. Bang, 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 bang. And there's a whole bunch of men down there hollering and carrying on in business suits. I don't want to be around all that. Just sit me on the farm so I can be working with the animals. Now, if I'm going to be hearing bells all day while I'm working, I want to be hearing the sounds of bells from cows and sounds from bells from cats, because some cats, they'll creep up on you, so you gotta put cat bells on so they don't scare you, right? Yeah, the Wall Street people. Good mercy, I don't want to be around all that. It's like working around a bunch of seagulls. Remember, like in Finding Nemo, those seagulls are like mine, 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 and then all of a sudden they just fly away. They're like, yeah, we did good today. I'm like, shh. No wonder they go to the bar afterwards. That sounds like a stressful job. You want to talk about an example of ebbs and flows? Yes, the Wall Street people. I know my place, and I know it's not doing that, but I can't say I know myself enough and my place enough in the reference to Wall Street. If I was working there, I would gladly ask to work to be the person who cleans up all the papers. That's a simple job, and I like to clean. So I would do that, because all that hooping and hollering to be gone, all of them to be gone, and it'll be just me and my music. And I have one job, just pick up all this paper and get ready for the madness for tomorrow. I know that much for sure. So in reference to ebbs and flows and involving figurative meaning, we just talked about the economy and stock market. Who you telling? We have careers and creativity. A musician's, wow, that's a hard word to say when I'm trying to say it. A musician's career may have moments of acclaim, and then periods of obscurity. periods of obscurity. Gosh, why'd you have to say it like that? And the creative process involves both inspiration and writer's block. Now, that's the truth. So that happens in careers of creativity. There is a good movie that came out. It's pretty old now. It's called Stranger Than Fiction. And it basically is about a guy. He don't even know he's the main character in a novel that a woman is writing. And she basically has control over his life and he don't know it. And you want to talk about the highs and lows. That movie was great. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in and for your support. You guys are really showing up for me and showing out with all of the likes already. We have ebbs and flows in reference to political and cultural trend, popularity of parties, fashion styles, or interest in certain topics change over time. Now, in reference to the fashion of it all, to me, it seems like what's hot and what's not. Then Paris Hilton used to say that. I know she said that's hot. But in the world of fashion, it was basically about trends. I don't know if that has anything to do with ebbs and flows. It seemed more like a keeping up with the Joneses type of thing. There's ebbs and flows, the naturalnesses of life. You know, the different moods that you have. There's strong winds, high winds, calm winds, no winds. But you don't want to be stagnant. But when it comes to fashion, that's a whole nother madhouse. It's right up there, guys, with the Wall Street people. So, both professions seem wild, chaotic, but it's orchestrated in the sense of madness. It's a maddening situation, but it's orchestrated chaos when you're working in Wall Street from the outside looking in, and it's orchestrated chaos when you're working in high-end fashion. Because when I watch the fashion shows on like Netflix and Amazon Prime, I really enjoy watching those fashion shows. It's always a sense of urgency, excitement, nervousness, and all this type of pressure. There's so much pressure. And it's like, dog, I like fashion too. I do. And I like the hair and makeup of it all. You know, that stuff is so fun. But I don't want to get to the point where it's causing more stress, right? So that's how I feel about the whole runway fashion stuff. I even like to design things, but good mercy, I don't want to be involved in it to that point where I cannot sleep at night because the work environment is so stressful, like how it appears to be, like how the Wall Street people are, right? So figurative meaning and reference to ebbs and flows, it can be regarding emotions and energy level, day-to-day activities, relationships, far as like a work relationship or when you're in church. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but what you want is that there's constant motion and growth and change, getting from point A to point B, like a ship in the sea. You want to be moving in that direction that you are destined to be in. You just don't want to be stagnant. They have economy and stock market. Thank you guys so much for the love. I see the little hearts floating. We have careers and creativity. A musician's career may have moments of acclaim. We have political and cultural trends. And lastly, at the bottom, it says, the expression highlights that both the high flow and low ebb periods are temporary, which is true. But sometimes the temporariness of it all seems like it's staying longer than you will want it. Encouraging acceptance of life's unpredictable journey. So once again, I'll read it without interruption. Ebbs and flows. The expression highlights that both the high flow and low ebb periods are temporary. Encouraging acceptance of life's unpredictable journey. So having said that, I am curious to see if AI Overview can provide me some examples of ebbs and flows in the Hobbit movie. Let me get my question typed in. Let me see. Some examples. The Hobbit. Let's see what AI Overview will have to say. It is almost 6 o'clock already, guys. Goodness, the time sure flies, don't it? So, looks like AI Overview whipped up something for me so I can read and share with you guys, all right? Good morning. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you so much for pressing the thumbs up button. The narrative of the Hobbit trilogy is driven by various ebbs and flows, or natural shifts between periods of calm and chaos, safety and danger, and hope and despair. So I definitely want to bookmark this. So just one moment, please, so I can create a new folder and type this in here. Let me label my folder. What are you guys planning to eat for breakfast today? So we have the narrative of the Hobbit trilogy is driven by various ebbs and flows or natural shifts between periods of calm and chaos, safety and danger, and hope and despair. Oh my gosh. I hope you're not playing around, but happy birthday to you. So I will put digital birthday cakes in the chat for you. Happy birthday. So let me find cake. Speaking of cake, have you heard of Cake and Fiona from Adventure Time? I think they have a new episode coming out. Isn't that cool? Happy birthday. There you go. There's some digital cakes and a high five. Bam. Happy birthday to you. Welcome in. Examples of ebbs and flows in the Hobbit movie, guys. Y'all ready? The conflict within Bilbo's character. The most central ebb and flow is the internal conflict within Bilbo Baggins himself, between his comfortable Baggins side and his adventurous Took side. Excuse me. I know what I'm going to ask. Have at least one of the many Hobbit movies, M-A-N-Y, Hobbit movies. There, let's push start poll. All right, so we have here, it says here, screenwriting. Hey, what's going on? No, I'm talking about, the meaning of ebbs and flows. So I'm currently on the point at the hour mark of finding examples of ebbs and flows in the Hobbit movie. Because when I thought of ebbs and flows, I instantly thought about the spider scene in the Hobbit. You know, that big giant spider that came down. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, watching the Hobbit movie in general, it's a lot of ebbs and flows examples in there. So I thought it would be cool to talk about it today. I hear many YouTubers use the term ebbs and flows a lot. So I grasped what they were saying, but I wanted to study a little bit more for myself. So when I heard it again, to which I probably will when I'm listening to live streams, I can have a full understanding of it and not just throwing it around because I've heard it before and it sounds good. So yeah, the conflict between Baggins, the conflict within Bilbo's character, the most central ebb and flow is the internal conflict within Bilbo Baggins himself, between his comfortable Baggins side and his adventurous Took side. Ebb. At the start of the story, Bilbo is timid and desires only the security of his home in the Shire. I thought that was so cute. Every time the movie starts showing their homes, it's just like, it's breathtaking. I really admire the way the hobbits live. It's so simplistic. You're amongst the land, you're surrounded by family and friends. They get into their tips and stuff, but at the end of the day, they want to come to a resolve. I think the hobbits are a perfect example of how this world is supposed to have been in the first place, right? So The Hobbits is such a great movie in general. Or should I say, the Hobbit characters are cool in general, because those are the things that I pick up and I notice about that. So moving forward, we have the flow in reference to the Hobbit film. Flow, Gandalf. Gandalf's arrival and the dwarf's quest awaken his latent adventurous spirit. Latent adventurous spirit. Latent adventurous spirit. Throughout the journey, he gradually embraces risks and takes on increasing responsibility for the company's welfare. Here's another ebb. This adventure is often followed by moments of regret and a strong desire to return home, such as during the storm in the Misty Mountains or faced with Sugnan's lair. This is really good. Shouts out to AI Overview for helping me for whipping up these responses. So when you think of the term or the phrase ebbs and flows, what do you think about? What comes to mind? What's going on, Chile? How are you doing? Bam! Thank you so much for coming in. We're having a good topic today. Have you heard of the term thrown around throughout our lives called ebbs and flows? Well, I broke that down to remind myself exactly what it meant, but I'm using that term and applying it to the Hobbit movies, because when I think of that term ebbs and flows, I keep finding myself thinking about this scene in The Hobbit where the spider, this big giant spider comes down, and I think of all these webs. So I'm reading really cool examples of ebbs and flows and throughout the Hobbit movie, and this is really fun. I'm learning a lot. So here's another example of ebbs and flows in the Hobbit films. Flow. Ultimately, his Took side prevails, and he embraces the role of a hero, returning home a changed hobbit who values both comfort and adventure. Thank you guys for the donations. If you are interested in donating, it's in the description box below. I have two ways to do that. One is PayPal and the other is Cash App. Thank you guys so much. We have another example, number 2, the company's fortune on the journey. Y'all ready for me to read that part? Or do you want me to reread the conflict within Bilbo's character, Bilbo Baggins? I wonder how they came up with the character name of Bilbo Baggins. But is a great character. So let me put in here, thank you for your donations, and then I'll move forward with the reading. Thank you so much for your donation. Let's see here. Let me put, where's my happy face? There. So we're going to move forward here. We've got the company's fortune on the journey. The dwarf's company's physical journey is a constant series of fortunate breaks and dangerous setbacks. Moving forward, it's got the dwarf's company. Oh yeah, I read that part. Flow. High point. The dwarf's arrival at Rivendell provides a temporary safe haven, allowing them to rest, regroup, and gain crucial information about the map and the moon runes. The scene in Rivendell are visually beautiful and calm. Good morning. Welcome in from Vietnam. Thank you so much for coming in. You could have been anywhere else in this social media megaverse, but you decided to be here. High five. Bam. Thank you. We have that was the high point. So the beautiful scene where the dwarves had time to rest, regroup, unwind, and take in the beautiful scenery, right? So that's pretty cool. Hey, good morning. Welcome in. We have the ebb, which is the low point for the company's fortunes on the journey. This safety is immediately followed by the danger of the Misty Mountains, where they are captured by goblins and later chased by the orcs and wargs, a major low point where their hope seems lost. This is heavy. I tell you, The Hobbit is definitely a definition of life's ups and downs. Flow. Their rescue by the eagles, often being treed, and after being treed, provides another significant high point and reprieve from immediate danger. I'm going to take a pause right there, eat a couple of chips, and I'll read the survey as well. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming in. Welcome into Freestyle Thursdays with LA, pronounced like LA, like the city. I'm not from there, but I'm breezy. I'm talking about ebbs and flows and maybe the Hobbit movies. I am talking about the Hobbit movies and how ebbs and flows intertwine throughout the movie. High points, low points, OMG points, but they always make it through. It seems like to me, Bilbo Baggins was designated one of the things what they call the impossible task. So I was like, how in the world is he going to do this? He's so small. That's just like SpongeBob SquarePants, y'all, in his first movie. Who would have thought that SpongeBob SquarePants would have been able to get the crown, save the town, and Mr. Krabs, but he did. So that's how I looked at the hobbits in the face of danger. It was them who persevered and pretty much brought everything home. Does the animated Hobbit count? Yes. For me, any form of Hobbit counts. So yes. There's y'all. Before the Spider-Man multiverse came around and before the word multiverse was even used, there was a multiverse right under our noses of this whole Hobbit stuff and this whole Lord of the Rings stuff. And it's ever expanding. It's like, what in the H? I am here for it. I'm up for it if they make more movies. They've got the TV series. I do like it. I find myself having to rewatch the second series over and over again because it seems like they're missing something out of it. I don't want to have to watch season 1 all over again to see if maybe I missed some important details in there and why I'm not making the full connection with the Lord of the Rings Amazon Prime original series season 2 or not. But it just seems like they're missing something important out of there, and I'm just not making the connection. So, having said that, it's still a good watch. I like the characters and all that. So, once again, shouts out to Amazon Prime original Lord of the Rings series. I tell you that much for sure. So moving forward, I'm going to read some more of these really cool notes that AI Overview provided for me to read to you guys. So it's got, once again, the flow in reference to the company's fortune on the journey. Flow, they're rescued by the eagles after being treed, provided another significant high point and reprieve from immediate danger. It has here. Oh, let me do the survey first, and then I'll get to Thorn's leadership and the theme of greed. We have here, have you seen the Hobbit movie, or at least one of the many Hobbit movies? 44% said yes, and 56% said no. That's all right. There's various ways you can watch it. And I should have been more clear about that Hobbit anything, but yeah, thank you so much for participating in that. A reference to examples of ebbs and flows in the Hobbit movie, we have here Thorn. Oakenshield's character arc is another example of ebbs and flows, especially concerning the theme of greed. Flow, high point. Initially, Thorn is a noble and determined leader, with a just cause reclaiming his homeland and treasure. Ebb, the low point. As they reach the lonely mountain and Smog is defeated, his obsession with the gold and the Arkenstone grows, leading to paranoia and a refusal to share the treasure with the people of Lake Town or the elves. Y'all remember that? This internal flaw reaches its lowest point when he is willing to go to war over the gold, isolating himself from his allies. That is so messed up. I try to keep all the hobbits together in my mind, like the storylines. I just know collectively the movie or the series is good. I was talking to my husband about that, and I'm like, I'm getting all of them mixed up. To me, it's like the Hobbits, the Lord of the Rings series is all jumbled up and out of order like the Star Wars. It's out of order, so you have to personally re-put them in order in the way that they're supposed to be. And that's out of order. It's too much. So, in reference to Thorn's leadership and the theme of greed, far as examples of ebbs and flows, we're talking about Thorn. Oakenshield's character arc is an example of ebbs and flows, especially concerning the theme of greed. We've got the flow example. Ultimately, in the face of the battle of the 5 armies, wow, he overcomes his dragon sickness and reclaims his noble character before his death, sacrificing himself for his people and friends. You guys, I don't want anybody to have to make the ultimate sacrifice. That's been done already, so let's be sure we make wise choices so we don't put ourselves in perilous situations like this guy did in The Lord of the Rings, so we don't even have to do dumb stuff like that. So ultimately, in the face of the battle of the 5 armies, he overcomes his dragon sickness and reclaims his noble character before his death, sacrificing himself for his people and friends. Number 4, the tone and action sequences. You guys ready for the tone and action sequences of it all? The movie trilogy's overall tone also experiences the ebbs and flows between lighter moments and intense action. Ebb, calm, light-hearted. The beginning of the first film, especially the scenes in Bag In with the dwarf singing and dining, is lighthearted and comical. How can you not like watching the scenes when the elves sing merrily and eat? Second breakfast. I've incorporated second breakfast into our lives because of the Hobbits. I'm like, this is awesome. Second breakfast. We don't do it all the time, but just the fact that we do practice that at the behest of me, it's like, let's have a second breakfast. It's fun. It is so fun. It's like a mini spontaneous holiday. So here's the flow: action and tension, action/tension. This calm is broken by escalating action sequences, such as the fight with the trolls, the Goblin King, and the barrel chase, the encounter with Smaug, and eventually the full-scale war of the Battle of the Five Armies. Now that's a lot of war and battling going on, isn't it? Ebb. The story ends with the quieter, more reflective Ebb, as Bilbo returns to the Shire, finding peace and beginning to write his story. Hot dog, isn't that nice? I like it a lot. Let me check a couple of things out. Thank you guys so much for liking the video. And shouts out to my new subscribers. Wow, thank you guys. Thank you for subscribing to the platform today. Let's see here. We have here, wow, we're doing really great, guys. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you guys so much. Let me check a couple of things out. Shout out to all my cool peeps who came in yesterday for the basket head show. That was a 5-hour live stream. We did that. Hey, and the week before last, we did a 6-hour live stream. Who knows what the live stream will be like next Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for coming in, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Ebbs and flows, and maybe the Hobbit movie. That's what we're talking about. I'm quite sure you guys are familiar with the term ebbs and flows, but I wanted to expound on that and to see for myself and confirm for myself if I fully understood what that meaning/saying was and is. And yes, I was correct about it, but having more examples only strengthens and reinforces the full knowledge and understanding of said saying. Yeah, my eyelashes. Ooh, my eyelashes. So that's that on that portion. So what I asked while I read all that, the narrative of the Hobbit trilogy is driven by various ebbs and flows, or natural shifts between periods of calm and chaos, safety and danger, hope and despair, such as life. We've talked about how there's ebbs and flows in the financial aspect, like the stock market crash, the stock dipping and rising. It even gave an example of ebbs and flows in fashion, all of that jazz. But it's a part of life. But what I've gathered out of that definition is that you don't want to be stagnated. That's not what you want. Let me find something else, because this is really good. Shouts out to AI Overview. What are other film examples of character arcs with ebbs and flows like Bilbo's? What other things besides greed showed up in the Hobbit's movie? All I saw, primarily, now that we're reading about it, now that it's mentioned here in the AI Overview search, The Hobbit was about a testing of greed. especially in reference to the ring. There was a time when some of the elves and so on, the elves and kings and pre-kings, the people in positions of power had the opportunity to hold the ring. Some of them failed, some of them passed. And that was really heavy because that's life. We're all going to be given an opportunity. Some will only be given this grand opportunity that we're supposed to be given once in a lifetime. Some of us gets it a few times out of our lives. So I'd like that portion of it. Are there narrative ebbs and flows in The Lord of the Rings? I want to know more about this. So let me ask another question in reference to that. Let me see here. Oh, I know. Examples, example of I want to know about the elves. So I'll wait and see what happens on here. I'm waiting for an answer, for a response to load up. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, AI overview. We have here the elves in the Hobbit movies, particularly the woodland elves of Mirkwood. Alright, the elves of Mirkwood and their king Thranduil exhibit significant ebbs and flows in their relationship with other races and their involvement in the wider world conflicts. Now, in the Hobbit movie, those elves seem snotty and snooty. Not all of them were, but primarily it was giving the vampire Valtori vibes, okay? That's what it was giving. And every time they showed the elves, I started to feel some type of way, like, here come the elves sing. They're gonna start talking down on these poor people. Why are they even here in this movie? They don't want to help anybody but their own, anyways, with their beautiful hair. It was like in the Hobbit movies, the elves were the Barbies. You know, like in the Barbie movie that came out, the most recent one, which was awesome. Gosh, it was like that. So let me write in my notes. Today is November 6th, 2025. Freestyle Thursday. Ebbs and flows. I have ebbs and flows and maybe the Hobbit movies. I wonder if I should change the title, Ebbs and Flows and the Hobbit movies. And the Hobbit movies. So I'm writing down in here the elves from the Hobbit movie. I spelled movie wrong. Hold on. Versus the from the I have my notes written down. I have my notes written down. Meow, meow, meow. High five, girl. Thank you. And while I'm at it, I am going to, bam, highlight it too. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We've passed the first hour already. We are in our second hour, and we have 19 glorious likes already. How you doing? It is 6:18 a.m. ET time in the grand state of Georgia. So, the elves in the Hobbit movies, particularly the woodland elves of Mirkwood and their king, Trendle, exhibit significant ebbs and flows in their relationship with other races and their involvement in the wider world conflicts. Examples of ebbs and flows in reference to the elves in the Hobbits. From openness to isolation and back. Exactly. High five AI overview, because I'm telling you, I was just feeling that type of way. The elves they was on one. You want to talk about antisocial? They were like so self-absorbed. They were like, we're not helping those hobbits. They're filthy. They eat all the time. They don't even wear shoes. The elves were like, we don't want them on our lands. We worry about our own. I'm like, y'all, we need to work together or we all gonna perish. It was bad trying to convince those elves to help, right? What's going on? Thank you for coming in. So it has from openness to isolation and back. The elves' general involvement in Middle Earth demonstrates a long-term ebb and flow. Who are you telling? You want to talk about a long-term ebb and flow? Now that falls under the relationship category. Ebbs and flows are in all paradigms of life: relationships, finances, fashion, weather. So the ebbs and flows showed painstakingly begrudging between the relationships of the elves and the other creatures from the Lord of the Rings. The elves' general involvement in Middle Earth demonstrates a long-term ebb and flow from active participation to isolation, to which they did heavily. Flow involvement, at times such as when the White Council gathers to challenge Sargon's growing power in Dol Guldur, the elves of Riverdale and Lothlorien actively cooperate with Gandalf and Sauron for the good of Middle Earth. They decide to finally come together. Ebb isolation. Thranduil and his Mirkwood elves have become isolationists, choosing to protect their borders from the growing darkness of the forest rather than engaging in external affairs or help the dwarves reclaim their homeland. See, that's that stuff I was talking about. And so we have here, rather than engaging in external affairs or to help the dwarves reclaim their homeland. They are wary of outsiders and have built a secretive fortress to keep the dangers out. This reflects a general withdrawal of elves from Middle-earth affairs as the Third Age progress. So, once again, this is another prime example of the elves shutting their congregational doors and leaving the elves and all the other creatures of Middle-Land to fend for themselves. It's giving Batman. Remember the movie we watched yesterday with Batman? He did not want Superman to help. And it wasn't until, what was it, like the last 15 minutes of the movie where Batman was like, okay, Superman can help. But he didn't want him to. It took for Batman to almost have to be gone, 86th, for him to begrudgingly have Superman help him. So that is what the elves are doing in The Lord of the Rings, y'all. I'm like, we have a war that's about to start and you still stuck in your stuffy ways. We all have to work together or you guys don't have a fortress to protect. We all gonna be gone. So it was a battle within itself. That was another battle or ebb and flow in the Hobbits movie. The dang on elves. It was easier for the king to convince the dead men who were trapped in the cage to come help fight the battle. It was easier for him to convince the dead men to help more than it was to get the elves to come help, right? So, in reference to ebbs and flows, the elves in the Hobbit movie, particularly the woodland elves of Mirkwood and their king Thranduil, exhibit significant ebbs and flows in their relationship with other races and involvement in the wider world conflicts. Here are some ebbs and flows examples. We're on the part of the elven-dwarf relationship.
The elven-dwarf relationship. Grab your chips and cola because we're diving into this historic, momentous event.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome, LA. First, let's read the survey. Thank you so much for participating in today's survey. Have you seen the Hobbit movie or at least one of the many Hobbit movies? 29% said yes and 71% said no. So, let's get those numbers up. We want more people to be involved in this Hobbit, Lord of the Rings paradigm. Hut. I suggest that you spend some of your free time watching the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. Let's go. Let's grow and ha-cha-cha.
Thank you guys so much for coming in, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Today we're talking about ebbs and flows in comparison to and with the Hobbit movie.
Hobbit movie! Let's go!
Let me put some more tulips in the chat and then let me move forward here. I need to adjust. It is 6:25 a.m. on this glorious Freestyle Thursday. How are you guys doing? I hope you make it to and or from work safely. Shout out to the ones who actually have me on in the background while you're commuting to and from work. That's really cool. So, it's time to begin. The elven-dwarf relationship in reference to the many ebbs and flows that happen between the elves and the dwarves. It says here, the historical animosity between elves and dwarves goes through distinct periods of hostility and temporary alliance. Ebb, hostility. The Mirkwood elves imprison Thorn and his company for trespassing for their refusal to disclose their plans, highlighting their deep-seated distrust and historical grievances between the two races. Thranduil is particularly cold towards Thorn, refusing aid and focusing on his own desires for treasure and security. Flow, alliance here. Despite their initial, so I just finished reading the ebb part, the hostility of the elves imprisoning the dwarves for not telling them their plans. Now here's the flow part, which is the alliance. Despite their initial hostility, the elves and dwarves are ultimately joined forces to fight the orcs and goblins during the Battle of the Five Armies. Thorn's redemption and death helped to cleanse some of the old hatred, leading to a period of newfound respect and temporary flow of cooperation, symbolized by the Thranduil placing Thorn's sword upon his tomb. Do you guys remember that? We have here moving forward Thranduil's personal character arc. Thranduil's own motivations and actions shift throughout this story.
Semicolon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, LA.
Ebbs' selfishness. Thranduil's initial appearance cold, arrogant, and driven by a desire of material wealth, specifically gems. He prioritizes the safety and wealth of his own kingdom
above all else,
even when faced with the dragon Smug's potential threat to Lake Town, whom he abandons. Flow, empathy, and action. The death of Dwarf Killy, who was in love with Elf Toro, and Thorn's sacrifice wakes up Thandros from his self-imposed isolation and greed. He finally decides to join the battle and fight for the greater good of Middle-earth, demonstrating a shift towards empathy and recognition of shared responsibilities in fighting evil. That is pretty darn good. As I take a small break and eat a couple of chips. Welcome in. Thank you guys for coming in. How are you doing this morning? What are you guys up to far as fixing breakfast? Will you be eating breakfast this morning? Or having a breakfast shake or something instead? Do you guys, would you prefer, or should I say, rephrase the question, would you have a milkshake in place of breakfast? I think there's milkshakes and then there's smoothies. I take a milkshake, y'all. I don't think today I wouldn't want a breakfast smoothie if there's a such thing. I take a milkshake, preferably strawberry. Breakfast don't necessarily always have to be bacon, eggs, and toast. Gravy train, dog food. But I can tell you this much for sure. Breakfast, man, I think it's an underrated meal. It should be served around the clock at all restaurants. Even if it's like at McDonald's. I think at one point they had the dollar value meal, where they did have, I think, the breakfast burrito served around the clock. But I don't think they do that anymore, though. I do like McDonald's breakfast burritos. The last time I had a couple of them, it seemed like they made the sizes smaller, though. The taste was still good, but it seemed like they downsized the size. Have you seen the commercial for the Lavazza coffee? Have you tried Lavazza coffee? I first got introduced to that coffee by way of Amazon, window shopping through Amazon Prime online. And I was looking for coffees and I saw that. And it seems like just by the packaging and the strong lettering, bold and stuff, it seems like it's going to be a tough coffee. It might be a coffee for men. Coffee is a strong coffee for men. I'm not sure if it's some type of espresso coffee or not, right? I will have to first try it without coffee. Come on, girl. I will first have to try it without sugar. I need to see how it tastes before I add anything to it. Let me go back to my screen. So I'm having a good time reading / discovering a more deeper dive of the Hobbit. The Hobbit. It's beyond the trilogy now. We are like, it's so many Lord of the Rings everythings now. And so it's like the Hobbit Matrix. But what I'm focusing on are the examples of ebbs and flows throughout the Hobbit films. The first one we read by way of overview was the examples of ebbs and flows between Bilbo Baggins and his journey how his starting point was a lowly hobbit who loved being at home and didn't want to go beyond the little line that they have. He didn't want to go beyond that point. But when he was called to do something, he went towards the task, and to his surprise and everybody else's surprise, he was able to, pull it off. So that was the ebb and flow of who it was. Hobbit was a boring movie for me. Yeah, that's all right. We've got movies like that. It's a slow movie. It's practically one color. It's like they ran the whole line of the Hobbit movies except for the Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings series. So all of the Hobbits, anything except for the Hobbit Amazon Prime, the Lord of the Ring Amazon Prime series, it seems like they intentionally ran all their content through some type of filter where it's like black and white and gray or pale, in color, giving it this dull, unified blandness. So that's to date it. It's like they did it intentionally to get you frozen in this time from long ago. It was like we were watching a capsulated timeline of something that once happened. So from that notion, that's a reason why it could be boring to people. It can be a slow build. It could be relatively easy to predict. I get it. Thank you for your opinion. So yes, I have that in here for a reference of ebbs and flows with the hobbits and stuff. I want to know a little bit more. Let me go to the top of my notes. Oh man, this is really, really fun. So once again, we are talking about ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows is an idiom that refers to the natural rhythm of life and the continuous change and changes inherent in it, meaning things consistently vary, experiencing periods of flow and decreased ebb. Origin. The phrase has its origins in the movement of the ocean's tides. The ebb is the movement of the tide as it recedes from the shore, while the flow is the movement of the tides as it comes back towards the shore. This natural repeating cycle of rising and falling water levels inspired by the figurative uses of the expression, which appeared in the late 1950s. That's pretty cool. Figurative meaning: when something ebbs and flows, it fluctuates or alternates between two states in the rhythmic way. It is used to describe situations that are not static and involves natural fluctuations such as emotions and energy levels, relationships, the economy/stock market, careers and creativity, political and cultural trends. Now, in reference to the relationship concept, we are pulling from that by way of referencing the Hobbit movie, where we've read about the ebbs and flows, the highs and lows of Bilbo Baggins and his evolution from being a lowly hobbit who didn't want to do much in life but just stay in one place forever, to how he went through treacherous adventures and came out victorious at the end and done a lot of things he never would have imagined him being capable of being able to do. After we talked about the highs and lows of Bilbo Baggins, I decided to look up about the highs and lows of the elves and their tug-of-war relationship between the elves and all of the others. So it was basically like the elves against everyone else, and how the elves had this superiority complex where they didn't want to help any other people of Middle Earth, although they knew that the whole world was coming to an impending doom, they were still stuck up and didn't want to see, they didn't make room to see the bigger picture, that it wasn't about just them, it was about the collective this time. So it talked about the back and forth between the elves, guessing and knowing, and finally coming to a resolve to unite, because it was, if they didn't, everybody would have lost. I even also made mention how the elves were so difficult to convince that they needed them to help them fight this battle, that it was easier for that man to go into this dark cave and convince these dead pirate men to come help. And that's saying a lot. So we went over the narrative of the Hobbit trilogy. So it says the narrative of the Hobbit trilogy is driven by various ebbs and flows or natural shifts between periods of calm and chaos. I like how it reads chaos, because I tell you, there wasn't a gradual buildup. You know, in life, we are mentally, unfortunately, prepared that there's going to be ups and downs. But in the Hobbit movie, it was just like you're up one minute and then you're flat like a pancake in another. Where were there middle grounds of transition where you could be like Dumbledore and Harry Potter and be like, oh, Harry Potter, storm is coming, things are changing, it's time to prepare. It was like, no, it was like one minute we're saved, the next minute we're back getting fried into the frying pans of a giant somewhere. An example of how some people's lives pan out, pun intended, to seem to be very unfair. And this good reference points in this Hobbit movie. The narrative of the Hobbit trilogy is driven by various ebbs and flows or natural shifts between periods of calm and chaos, safety and danger, hope and despair. Boy, I tell you, hope and despair, calm and chaos, that's it. That's it right there. That's what those movies were all about. It's like, oh my gosh. So let me put that in my notes. That's awesome. So, examples of ebbs and flows in the Hobbit movie. Guys, just one moment, I'm going to write this down. In the Hobbit movie, there were calm and chaos, and safety and danger, and then finally hope and despair. That's heavy, y'all. So once again, strong definitions of ebbs and flows with the Hobbit trilogy: calm and chaos, safety and danger, hope and despair. The movie had you on, well, it had me on the roller coaster, you know? Thank you. It had me on the roller coaster. It brought you down there in the lowly situations. They showed where the hobbits face points of uncertainty, where the situation in life was suffocating. But because they still chose to fight during those moments that were perilous, and like, this is it, y'all, I've really tried. Because they chose to still fight within their mind and then their spirit, and because they chose to keep a door open for help within their soul during those dark times, by them being able to keep that window open subconsciously to receive help from those who were willing participants to want to help, it was times when things from the other side were able to place deposits into their subconscious while they were surrounded by darkness to say, get up, go Bilbo, fight, wake up, you can do this. And it would help them snap to it and then just beat the darkness that was literally surrounding them. Those are the takeaways that I see when I'm watching The Hobbit. No, to my knowledge, I think they won lots of awards. No wonder they won lots of awards, because it's the story within the story, guys. It's about hope. It's about what to do when you are surrounded by a sea of darkness and nobody's around to help you. And it's just you and your thoughts. I encourage you to be like Bilbo Baggins and the other hobbits and the good princes and princesses and wizards, to have that small window or door open in your subconscious to be able to receive help from the other side, to be able to guide you through that dark part. That's what it's all about. So yes, The Hobbit is wonderful. It just touches on all the seas of life. The company's fortune on the journey. We talk about the conflict within Bilbo's character. The most ebb and flow is the internal conflict within Bilbo Baggins himself. Bilbo Baggins himself, between his comfortable Baggins side and his adventurous Took side. Ebb. At the start of the journey, Bilbo is timid and desires only the security of his home in the Shire. Flow. Gandalf's arrival and the dwarf's quest awaken his latest adventurous spirit. Throughout the journey, he gradually embraces risk and takes on increasing responsibility for the company's welfare. The ebb of Bilbo. The adventure is often followed by moments of regret and the strong desire to return home, which he displayed, such as during the storm in the Misty Mountains or when faced with Sug's lair. I was saying it correctly at first. Smog's lair. The flow. Okay, so let me reread that again. His adventures is often followed by moments of regret and a strong desire to return home. I remember that part. Which, as during the storm in the Misty Mountains or when faced with Smug's lair. Bilbo Baggins was so far in, there was a point of no return. But he could have opted to just stay. Let's say while he was going on his journey, Bilbo hit a point of no return. But even in his thought processes, if he wanted to abandon all hope, all ye who enter and leave his family and friends behind on that village, he most certainly could have. Because as he was going from one point to the other, he could have found another small village where there was some sense of normalcy, and he could have just chose to stay there. Like, y'all, I'm done. This too much. I'm Bilbo Baggins. What you mean you want me to be on this quest? But he still continued to go, thusly showing himself, that there's more to him than what he thought. So sometimes we have to go on these life's adventures and voyages and quests, so life can show us, if we aren't able to see it for ourselves, who we are. Show us what we're made of. Show us, yes, you have what it takes for this thing called life. Shouts out to Prince. You have what it takes for this thing called life. And if we don't have loving people around us to pull that out of us, to pour into us, to show us like you can do these things, and they're not just saying it, they're showing us how we can do these things, giving us some types of tools on what we do in life, because life is life, and for all of us, especially for us here in America, life is showing us more of its rear end. I should say the life over here is showing us more of its rear end. And we had to have systems in place in our thoughts. Okay, so moving forward with that, this whole adventure with Bilbo Baggins is cool because it's showing him just how great he really is. And just think, if he had not gone on that adventure, he wouldn't have made additional family, friends, made alliances that are strong, never wavering, partnerships, strengthen connections, make new connections. So now if he ever needs help or his village needs help, he's got someone he can call on now. And that's because he stepped out of his comfort zone. Had he not done that and made friendships through the dark perils of his life at that time, he wouldn't have been able to bring back home a bounty of affirmation within himself, a bounty of strength for himself and for his village, and things that the villagers don't even know or even dare to entertain because they're choosing to be simple-minded, but he's keeping with himself, you know, and the other, and Gandalf, that if they ever need help, they have it. And that is the one of the many stories that I pulled out of the Hobbit series and theory. So in reference to Bilbo, we have flow. Ultimately, his took side prevails, meaning he's got two sides, you know, and he embraces the role of a hero, returning home a changed Hobbit who values both comfort and adventure. Hello, thank you so much for coming in. How are you doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you. It is 6:50 a.m. here in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for coming in. We went over the company's fortunes on the journey as well. The Dwarfs Company's physical journey is a constant series of fortunate breaks and dangerous setbacks, which it was, but it showed their resilience. They had one plan, and that was to get from point A to point B, and the point B was to gather and fight, and put an end to all the stuff that was happening with their lands. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. But they knew that there were going to be unforeseen circumstances that were going to happen. They were mentally prepared for that, but they weren't able to project exactly what types of problems that were going to happen along the way. All they knew was they were gathered together for one good reason, and it was a non-selfish reason. It was a harmonious reason, and it was for the people collectively. Number 2, they brought what they could. Their supplies, their gifts, their talents, their mental capabilities, all of that, their positive energy and their wits. They brought all that, and so when push came to shove, when they started to meet struggle and opposition, it never failed that they were able to overcome all that stuff. Hi, thank you so much for coming in. So once again, ebbs and flows in reference to the Hobbit movie and the reflection of life and stuff. I like the Hobbit movies or the Lord of the Ring movies because it's a reflection of life in all parallels, and it gets down to the nitty-gritty, guys. It comes down to the nitty-gritty. Nitty-gritty meaning it touches calms and the chaoses of life, the safety and dangers of life, and the one no one wants to talk about or acknowledge, the hope and despairs of life. It's wonderful. Yes, you've watched Lord of the Rings. I like them. because they're fun, they're entertaining, and as I'm discussing today, it shows a lot of parallels in life. You know, the highs and lows of life that we call peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows. It teaches you how to character build. It teaches you how to find strength from within. As cliche as it sounds, it teaches you those things. Welcome in. Good morning to you. You guys are really participating in today's survey. Have you seen the Hobbit movie, or at least one of the many Hobbit movies? We've got here 37% of my cool peeps said yes, 63% said no, and that's all right. There's so many styles of the Lords of the Rings. The animated one, the audiobook one, the reprised one, the edited, the director's cut, the extended edition, the Lord of the Rings Amazon Prime original series. It's so much to choose from, but anything from the metaverse of the Hobbits, yes. It may not be for everyone. Someone did say that they didn't like it. I understand. It's like Avatar, The Way of Water, Avatar 3, and I think they're coming out with the Avatar 4. It's an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste. Welcome in. Welcome in? What are some of your points, or what are some of your parts about the Hobbits? Anything that you like, the Lord of the Rings? What do you like about the Lord of the Rings / Hobbit anything? I'm happily married. We've been married 10 years. Thank you for asking. Let me see here. Let me put this in here. Thank you for coming in. Wow. Welcome in. How are you doing? Let me move my cereal over. It is 6:55 a.m. over here. What's going on with you? Excuse me. Oh man, South Australia. It can be anything. You can be either from Saudi Arabia or South Australia. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad you're here. You could have been anywhere else in this whole YouTube megaverse, but you chose to be here. High five. Bam. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're talking about the Hobbit movie right now. And I've pretty much been rambling on in a good way about why I like the Hobbit movie, or like the Lord of the Rings series in general, and how it teaches you life's principles. South Africa. Cool. Welcome in. Yeah. So those movies are great. They're entertaining, and I do like to have them on in the background. But I tell you, when it gets to the fight scenes, they really turn up the sound. So I had to run to the TV if I don't have the remote control by me and turn the volume down, because it's like they intentionally make the fight scene super loud. So if you fall asleep with the Lord of the Rings on, you had to have it at the perfect balance, so when they start fighting and carrying on, it don't startle you up out of your sleep. You'll be like, you won't be able to get back to sleep after that, and then you find yourself popping microwave popcorn and be like, well, I cannot go back to sleep now. I might as well sit up here and watch the rest of this movie, eat my popcorn, and wait till I fall back to sleep, you know? And then before you know it, the rooster is crowing and the sun getting ready to come up, and you haven't even went back to sleep. You look at the time And it's time for you to start getting ready for work. It's like, what have I done? Whew, this is really going to be a long day at work today. I better get out my 30-gallon coffee mug because I'm going to need it. Who carries around... Who carries around 30 gallons of coffee? Hey, you got to do what you got to do. Forget bringing water to work. Bring 30 gallons of coffee and you'll be fine. Oh my gosh. As I move forward in reference to examples of ebbs and flows by way regarding the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings movies, we have Thorne's leadership and the theme of greed. Thank you so much. It says here, Thorne Oakenshoot's character arc is an example of the ebbs and flows, especially concerning the theme of greed. I like that AI overview touched on this because that is another example and tester point in life that we all will face if we haven't faced it already. Greed. How are we going to handle an opportunity? Are we going to be greedy or take only what we need? High point. Initially, Thorne is a noble and determined leader with a just cause, reclaiming his homeland and treasure. The ebb, which is the low point in the film regarding him, which is Thorne. As they reach the lowly mountains and Smug is defeated, his obsession with the gold and the Arkenstone grows, leading to paranoia and a refusal to share the treasure with the people of Lake Town or the elves. This internal flaw reaches its lowest point when he is willing to go to war over the gold. That's messed up. Isolating himself from his allies. And the flow part, ultimately, in the face of the battle of the five armies, he overcomes his dragon sickness, which was greed for gold, and reclaims his noble character before his passing. He sacrificed himself for his people and friends. So he had an aha moment, a come-to moment where he realized that all of his motions at a certain point were based upon greed and not the benefits of the collectives of the people. He was blinded by the gold, and that became his one modus operandi, and it caused a lot of his people to fall. But in the nick of time, he realized his wrongdoings. But the only way for him to make amends, because so much time was lost and people were trying to tell him, bro, you're going the wrong way. Those people, they weren't getting through to him until he had to end up making the ultimate sacrifice for his people to atone. And I don't want anybody in this wide world to ever have to find out something so late to the point where they have to make the ultimate sacrifice. I want everyone to be able to come to a point in life before it gets too bad, before they lose it all, like this guy in the Lord of the Rings. I pray that all of you guys see what you need to see within the closets of your life so you don't have to hit rock bottom and lose it all in order to realize what you need to do in life. It's not fair. Life wasn't designed for us to have to learn the hard way. I don't want people to have to learn the hard way. That's why progress is so slow. So that's my wacko's wish. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you so much. Wow, you guys are really coming in from all over the world, aren't you? Here's a hug. Good mercy. You guys are really coming in from all over the world. I have to just take a moment and take this in. I really appreciate you coming over, stopping in, saying hi. You guys, technology is a wonderful thing. We get to engage from people from all around the world, and maybe even from people in space. The tone and action sequence. High five to everybody. Hiya! Thank you so much, guys, for all the love. This is wonderful. Let me put this in here. For the love. Thank you guys so much for the love. Let me find my emoji. Hello, how are you doing? Good morning to you, good evening, or good afternoon to you. How's your day going? For me, it is Thursday, and the time is 7:03 a.m. Look at the crying tears emoji. The crying tears emoji. Yeah! Yeah!
Yeah! Hey, how you doing? High five. Hi.
So I'm munching on the combo snacks today. I have Fruit Loops. Oops. I spilled some of my cereal. And I have Lay's potato chips. And I'm hanging out with my Cool Peeps. And I have my water also. And I'm taking my notes and I'm having a good time. Share. Here, take some out of the bowl and pass it around. Here's some to share. Pick out your favorite colors. There you go. There, now you have some. Let me find it. Here you go. Here you go. Here. I put some in a little bowl. There's your cereal. So in reference to ebbs and flows, regarding the Lord of the Rings trilogy, we've talked about Thorne's leadership of it all. And now we're on the tone and action sequence. You are welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. The movie trilogy's overall tone also experiences the ebbs and flows between lighter moments and intense scene actions. Ebb, calm, lighthearted. The beginning of the first film, especially the scenes in Bag In with the Dwarfs, singing and dining, is lighthearted and comical. I like seeing the fellowship. I can tell you this much for sure. When I watch The Lord of the Rings and see like the hobbits and all of the elves and the Middle Earth people get together and they're just celebrating over feasts, food and good music and good times. It's just the pure ultimate definition of fellowship. I think that word has been unfortunately misused. But when I watch the Hobbit anything and I see moments of them coming together like that, it just strengthens my heart because that's how life was supposed to be on earth. Fellowshipping. Yes, I'm married. I've been married for 10 glorious years. 10 glorious years to my loving husband. Yes. My husband is so cool. I love him so much. We have here, in reference to the beginning of the first film, especially the scenes in the Bag In with the dwarf, singing and dining is lighthearted and comical. Flow, action, tension. This calm is broken by escalating action sequences such as the fight with the trolls, the Goblin King, the barrel chase, the encounter with Smaug, and eventually the full-scale war of the Battle of the Five Armies. Now, I listed 4 perilous things that happened along the way while all of the hobbits and stuff band together collectively in a united force. 4 things that seemed like small battles to me before they had to muster up the remaining strength and hope that they had for the big battle. And that's the thing, guys. You don't want life to wear you out to the point where it's time for the big battle to approach and you have nothing left to give. Weave. But like I was saying, in those times when you've been fighting so much, please keep a door open in your subconscious so you can let the good vibes come in your times of darkness to intercede on your behest, like in the Hobbit movies. So that's another point that's a takeaway. That's another takeaway in the Hobbit movie. There are going to come times when you are forging on to the big battle at the end. It was the battle of the 5 armies where they were heading towards, right? It was the battle of the 5 armies that they were headed towards. But before they got to the battle, they had 4 big tasks ahead of him that were daunting. Sometimes you just need a little extra help. Have you seen the Hobbit movie, or at least one of the many Hobbit movies? 38% of my cool peeps said yes and 62% said no. I really like that a lot of you guys said no, because that means I could be introducing you guys to a whole new world, or providing to you a different perspective of how I interpret the movie, or how perhaps you can interpret the movie. So it's nice to see various answers on here. Let me check something out really quickly, guys, if you don't mind. And then at the top, have you ever had a public speaking class at school or college? I had public speaking class. I know it was when I was in middle school. I think it was in 7th grade. I may have had it for 8th grade too, but I think it was in 7th grade. The only reason I'm pinpointing that I had public speaking in 7th grade is because the public speaking class was in the 7th grade wing. But that doesn't mean it was just for 7th graders, if you're understanding what I'm saying. So I tell you that much for sure. Let me see here. I'm checking on a couple of things. Let me go back to where I was. Thank you so much, guys, for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. You most certainly did not have to do that. I really appreciate you guys' joy, your cool vibes, your openness to learning. That's a brave thing. Let me look on here. I don't want to accidentally push the wrong button as I toggle through this thing. I've got a little time to see something. I may have to run to the ladies' room. Alright, guys, I need to run to the ladies' room really quickly. Then that's something. I usually only have to use the bathroom on Wednesdays because I'm on here longer. Okay, I'll be right back. I have to use the bathroom. Oh, let me put those up there. I'll turn the music up. I'll be back. I gotta go potty. All right, I'm back. Thank you guys for waiting. I had to go to the potty. My blanket,
My royal blanket. My beautiful, beautiful royal blanket.
I need my royal blanket. So yes, thank you guys for waiting. We have a poll right here, what is it, a survey that you guys participated in. I could turn the music down now that I've returned. How are you guys doing this morning? Heck, how in the world did I get here in the first place? There. So I'll read it and then in the survey, wait for that to come online. It says here, have you ever seen the Hobbit movie or at least one of the many Hobbit movies? 64% said no, and 30% and 36% of my cool peeps said yes. Thank you so much for participating in today's survey. I have made it back. So yes, I just finished reading. I'm on the tone and action sequences in reference to the ebbs and flows of the Hobbit movie or the trilogy. And it says here, the movie trilogy overall tone also experiences the movie's trilogy overall tone also experiences an ebb and flow between lighter moments and intense action. Ebbs calm, lighthearted. The beginning of the first film, especially the scene in the bag and with the dwarf singing and dining, is lighthearted and comical. The flow, which is the action and tension. This calm is broken by escalating action sequences such as the fight with the trolls, the Goblin King, the barrel chase, the encounter with Smug, and eventually the full-scale war of the Battle of the Five Armies. And lastly, the ebb. Regarding the movie's trilogy overall tone, the story ends with a quieter, more reflective ebb as Bilbo returns to the Shire, finding peace and beginning to write his story. I think that was really good. Shouts out to AI Overview for helping me compiling these notes for me so I could share with you guys. And yeah, before I get out of here, is there anything else you want to add before I prepare to take my leave? Let's see here. Ooh, for a day, I'll be a dinosaur. Yo, because you asked yesterday, that was fun. It was, I know I picked the ladybug. I know that much for sure. Yes, so for today, I will be a dinosaur. And the dinosaur choice would be, I will be the long neck. You know, like from, The Land Before Time. I would be one of them. Let me see if I have my dinosaur emoji available. I'm going to look for it before I leave. Let me see. There's the animals. Here he is. I found it, y'all. I choose dinosaur. Thank you for asking. What would you choose? Okay, you're under no obligation to do as such. So when and if you don't, there's no worries. Yeah. So you made it just in time because I'm actually getting ready to wrap this up. And since I'm in the animal category right now, in my emojis calendar, I'm going to put up some random animals simply because. Let's see if they'll show up. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for coming in. We talked about ebbs and flows. First, we hammered out the definition of what ebbs and flows is because I hear that word quite often on YouTube, in the YouTube world. And then I also compared it with the definition I applied the meaning ebbs and flows and applied it to the Lord of the Rings, like in all of the Hobbit movies in general. I want an AI overview to please provide us very good, generous examples of ebbs and flows that occurred and or happened throughout the series of the Lord of the Rings in general. And then I also expounded on how the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings in general are great stories because within those stories they teach us how to fight during sad times in life. For example, in closing, the calm and chaos times in our lives, the safety and danger aspects of our lives, and the hope and despair aspects of our lives. They emphasized a lot on the hope and despair aspects throughout the whole everything of Hobbits and the Lord of the Rings. And I really like that because it teaches you to keep a door open in your subconscious. So when you find yourself surrounded by darkness in life, you'll have other sources that are good who want you to win, to be able to step in and speak life into you when you cannot, when you're surrounded by bad thoughts, bad circumstances. You keep that good door open so they can speak to you, wake you up, and then you can get up and fight. My name is LA, pronounced like LA like the city. I'm not from there, but I'm breezy. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, and for your donations. You guys showing up and showing out today. You most certainly did not have to. I really appreciate all of you guys. Stay strong. Tighten up on personal things that you may feel you need to tighten up on. Let go of things that you know you should have let go a long time ago. If you're already in a place of hurt, might as well let go of those friends right now who are hurting you some more. So you can just rip the band-aid off and keep going. Get into some good movies because good movies teach you things. I love you all. Until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.